for all that you do for this city, El Cerrito. We're honored to be here and to share with you. We have an update on what is happening in El Cerrito, as well as answers and questions that you may have. As you know, over the last couple of years, the city has dealt with many challenges. We've had to face financial difficulties, and we've had to deal with the impacts of COVID-19, this global pandemic. It's been a challenging year, full of difficult decisions, but we've taken action to fix these past mistakes, and we made a great deal of progress, and our city is back on stable ground. We have turned things around, and we are now in a position where we can envision a healthy and sustainable future. Some of the highlights in this past year have all revolved around making sure that El Cerrito continues to be a sustainable city. We are working to fulfill the city's short-term goals and our long-term vision, and we have focused this year on finishing what we've started. We have committed to several themes this year: financial stability, environmental stability, economic stability, public health and safety, and equity and inclusion. The city manager will provide some of the details about the projects that the city has been working on, and ensuring that we have a safe, healthy, and welcoming community. I have been dedicated to supporting this city, our staff, and we all continue to recover from pandemic conditions and restore services, especially now that the county has canceled its COVID-19 health orders and our emergency ends on December 31st. Being a sustainable city means that we must be realistic about what the city can do and can't do. And we have been mindful of our city staff, their capacity, and respectful of the work that they all do. When we have a vision for this sustainability in all areas that the city works on, then we will ensure that we are indeed meeting present needs and planning for our future here. El Cerrito is ready to build on our progress and move our city forward. With that, I'd like to introduce to you our city manager, Karen Pincus, who will give us some details of what's happening with El Cerrito.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Quinto. I just have to say that I'm just very grateful to the leadership of the mayor and the city council, especially in the past few years. It's, as the mayor said, it's been an incredible challenge between financial challenges, COVID, and literally life as we know it completely changing, right? And so I'm very grateful to the mayor. Thank you so much for that. So let me give a few details. One of the things that is very interesting about working in local government that people sometimes don't quite grasp all the time, or it's the nature of a city manager usually, or city management, city staff to kind of be in the background. And the city council's out front, they're the stars, they run the show. Everyone knows what a mayor is. Nobody knows what a city manager is. So kind of brief, just very in general, if you compare it to the public sector or the private sector, the city council's the board of directors and I'm the CEO. And that's really how the relationship is. And as the mayor just outlined, the city council sets the vision for the city, the policy direction for the city, and then it's up to me to run the organization of the staff, and I have a couple of my rock stars here today who fulfill and implement the vision and the policy of the city. So kind of going along with what the mayor said as far as the themes that we had kind of set for the year, set the tone for the year, again, finishing what we started, focusing on sustainability. That is something that we as staff have been working on. And again, I have Melanie and Aisa here to, when we get to Q&A, if there's anything specific about some of the projects we've got going on, we can answer those in some more detail. But first, as far as financial sustainability, that's the core of all of this. We need to have a financially stable city in order to make sure that we're doing what we can do and to provide the services that we want to provide. So you may know that the state auditor had done a report on us a couple of years ago. We've made substantial, significant progress on that. We have created and implemented a fiscal recovery and sustainability plan. So this is a long-term plan to make sure that we are going over the years, short-term fixes, long-term fixes, looking to the future to ensure that we remain, that our budget remains stable. In fact, the state auditor just a few weeks ago recognized the city's progress. We are no longer considered high risk. We are now considered moderate risk. We're not done, obviously. I want to be low risk, but the fact that we have shifted, that is a big deal for us. And in only 2 short years, that's a big, significant. I got to give a shout out to my staff. I'm glad for the leadership of the council, but it's a major, important distinction that the state is recognizing we are indeed making progress. And so I just, again, we're not done, but it's worthy to pause and say, all right, we're on the right track, and this is significant to share with the public that we're on the right track. That means that we've made major improvements in our budget, our financial condition for the first time in many years. The general fund reserve, which is essentially the city's rainy day fund, savings account, if you will, is not only in the black, but is the most healthiest and well-funded that it's been in at least over 10 plus years. So that is a big deal. It is because we have been conservative with our budget. Over the 2 previous fiscal years, we cut 10% of our budget. We cut 10% of our staff. We did get federal funding. We did get some of the sales tax and transfer tax money was better than expected, but that wouldn't have mattered if we hadn't taken the really painful decision to make a lot of budget cuts and cut our staff. So we did that, and now that is bearing fruit. So now we are in recovery mode. We are now stable, so we're starting to restore some of those services. We're starting to hire back some staff thoughtfully, strategically. The idea is that we're not going to go back and spend all our money, our rainy day fund out again. And we're committed to that. We're committed to the continuous improvement. We're being strategic and thoughtful about our spending and in the revenues that we're getting in. So again, we're taking this very, very seriously and very thoughtfully. So that is the core. We can't provide services to others if we're not able to finance ourselves. Environmental sustainability, this has also been a big topic for the city. In December, staff will be bringing a consultant contract to update our climate action plan. We've had a climate action plan in El Cerrito. In fact, we were one of the early adopters of a climate action plan. Now a lot of cities have them, but we had one. We did it before it was cool. But we're going to be updating that plan. We're going to be updating our inventory, our database of kind of our baseline of where we're going, and be able to update that. We're looking at things like electrification ordinance for development that is coming down from the state. So we're going to be looking at that, putting some of that in place, and creating new climate action goals for, again, long-term future. In the meantime, this past year, we've done a lot of environmental actions and activities. The recent state solid waste ordinances that we've had to implement, foodware, construction, sustainable development, and clean energy. The mayor also, in his work, sits on the board of Marin Clean Energy, MCE, which some of you may see on your PG&E bills. If you work with MCE, you can go and get, instead of using PG&E Energy, you can opt into MCE, and if you go deep green, you can be pure clean energy on your electric bill. So that's one of the things that we've been doing, again, for quite some time. Sustainable transportation, multimodality. We're working on a new parking program that's going to be coming up, especially around the transit-oriented developments that are going on at the BART stations. And a big deal that's going to transform the north end of town is the Del Norte Complete Streets project. That's going to be improved intersections, pedestrian, bike access, transportation of all kinds. That whole place is going to be transformed. We're this close, right, to issuing the building permit for the hotel. So once all of that's done, that whole intersection is completely going to be transformed. Significant improvements for the north end of town. Economic sustainability, I don't have to share with all of you. That's kind of important these days. At the next city council meeting, the city council will consider the update to the San Pablo Avenue specific plan. And again, Melanie can provide more details if we have questions on that. That's going to continue to provide the platform for sustainable development all along our corridor. 3 major projects on the avenue are slated to begin. Multifamily development next to Credence, multifamily development hopefully sooner rather than later across the street from City Hall, where Marty's Motors was, and the hotel at the corner of Cutting and the Avenue. We also expect our second cannabis business to open on conveniently within walking distance from City Hall. That was a joke. Okay, not really. I'm pretty excited about that. But that second cannabis store will open. The first one opened, as you know, a year ago, about just over a year ago. Is doing awesome. Don't know what that says, but maybe that's pandemic hangover, literally. But all of these developments will continue to contribute to the city's tax base. Housing, I know that's also been a huge hot topic. As you know, all of the, we have been, over the years, we've been, I hear things about, all this, vacant lot that, but what people don't always know is that those vacant lots are all bought and entitled, and we have just really had a lot of struggle with the economy now. Is going to be a thing. Interest rates went up again yesterday. So that's been, there's been stalls here and there as far as getting the developments done, but what the city has tried to do is facilitate those lots being bought, being developed, being entitled, going to the planning commission, the whole thing. They're ready to go. It's just a matter now of the economy getting moving. So those are all happening, but we are definitely a leader in housing for all in this state.
We're one of 38 cities in California out of the 485 cities that is right on target with the housing needs that are put upon all the cities.
Yeah.
So
And
very proud of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and we're really proud of that. That just goes, that shows you that all that the work that we've been doing, and once everything gets built, obviously it'll be much better, and that's a bit out of our hands. But what we're doing is that we're making sure that the atmosphere and the environment is there for developers to come in and be able to build housing. We are excited to work with Bart on the Plaza project. It's going to transform this whole area here. Where am I? All of this whole area, this whole thing, the theater block, the BART station, everything. This is all going to be, this is going to be kind of this is the closest thing I guess we would really have to a downtown, right? Because with the avenue as being a state highway, but this is something here, Fairmont, to be able to kind of put all of this together. Huge economic development opportunity, and for the city, the most exciting part is that we're working with the developer to put a library in this building, which would be a real showcase and somewhat not very common to have things like a library in a housing development. This could be something that will really be innovative and set the tone, hopefully, for what other cities can look to and how they can be creative with meeting their housing goals. So we're so excited to work with Bart on that and the developer. And again, we can answer specific questions about that. We also, just as an aside, the mayor referenced the end of our local emergency, which will end on December 31st. One of the things that we'll be bringing back to the city council probably in early December is a ordinance to be able to continue the temporary outdoor dining and shopping program. That I think is a really good thing. I think that's what, we've learned a lot of things through the pandemic, and one of them is that outdoor dining and outdoor seating and those types of things, and being able to facilitate that is somewhat popular, pandemic or no. And so it's just a nice idea to be able to do that. So we've been that's been in place since the pandemic, since the local emergency, but it would, once the local emergency ends, the way that the current legislation is written, it would end exactly that. So we're going to be extending that until we can work together to put that into put that permanently in our code of ordinances. So, and again, with that, I mean, just, when we're talking about health and safety, obviously there's a lot of issues that we have to worry about as a city, not just the public health, but public health has obviously been our highest priority. We've been promoting the COVID safety, making sure our events are conducted in a safe manner. We have restricted City Hall hours. But at the end of the local emergency, we're going to be looking to, now we'll be reopening City Hall to more normal hours, all of our other buildings to more normal hours, for example, hosting more things in person. With the end of the state emergency, which is at the end of February, that means that that could mean that we're going to be continuing to do hybrid council meetings, but boards, commissions, and committees will likely at that time go back in person. So we're, kind of slowly getting to whatever this new normal is. That's all going to be starting to come through in the next few months. But as far as other health and safety, obviously disaster preparedness, big one for us. You guys felt the little swarm of earthquakes that happened the other day? That was that was like right by my house, I guess the epicenter. I went home and there was a couple things knocked over on a shelf. Like, oh God, we will recover. But I mean, it's just a good reminder that we need to be prepared. We need to be ready. Have your go bags. Have you all make sure that you've done that for your homes and your families. But what we're doing on and again, a lot of this was solely because of the pandemic, but we also have a new fire chief, so we were revamping the CERT program and revamping our classes for giving CPR and emergencies and first aids and stuff like that. So we're going to be starting that. That's going to be restarting and restored. And so we're going to be, we've also updated our emergency operations plan, so we're going to be training internally our staff and our city council. We're going to be holding some drills. And we're also going to be looking to hold whether it's a simulation or an actual evacuation drill, particularly for some of those real narrow neighborhoods and the narrow streets up in the neighborhoods, and kind of practicing that and looking to figure out a very good evacuation routes. All of these things are totally in the works. And like I said, our new fire chief. Maybe you invite him to a future chamber. He's great to listen to. He's a really well respected expert in a lot of different security and emergency preparedness. So he's a great guy, and we're really lucky to have him. He started just a few months ago, so he's got his work cut out for him. And obviously along those lines, wildfire safety, we just